Hey guys, Code on Bite here, and today is a very, very special day. That's right, we're gonna start building the Iron Golem farms. Oh my god, I'm excited! Sorry if I hurt your ears there, but first, we're gonna do a quick little project that involves iron, redstone, sand, gunpowder, and this button. Oh yeah, and wood. So yeah, through exploring, I was able to learn more about the area where I live, and that is going to be very useful. All right, first let's make some pistons, because before I build this iron golem farm, I would just like to learn a little bit more about just see if there's anything else that I should know about, because knowing about the those spawners that we found in the last couple episodes is incredibly useful. Oops, wrong way. Alright, so we also need to make some TNT. And no, we're not going to be blowing anything up. But yeah, I guess I killed enough creepers so far to get 20 gunpowder, so we're going to make some TNT. So what I'm going to make here is called an X-ray device. And it is not to be confused with the mod that some people use that allows them to find diamonds really easily. As I've said, this is a vanilla Let's Play, so I will only do things that you can do legitly. And so right now I'm going to show you a cool trick that you can do without any mods at all that lets you kind of see what's underground. So it works on the principle that TNT is a transparent block. As you can see straight through this TNT to the block that's under it. Yeah, it's perfectly transparent, obviously. Let's see, we need some sand here. And so, yeah. And also, because TNT is transparent, it will not damage you if you get crushed by it. Alright, and we put the button here. Now, it's very important that, when you get crushed by a block that you can't see through, but that's transparent, you'll be able to see what's underground. Now it's very important that this redstone wire is a good distance away. If I were to run it right along here, it would power this block, which is next to the TNT, and the TNT would go boom, which is bad. That would just blow a big hole in the ground. So yeah, I think it would be safe for it to go here, but I'm just gonna be extra careful because I'm the kind of guy that does stuff wrong a lot. So let's push this button. And voila! We can see underground. And if you don't believe me, try it yourself. This is something that you can do in legit. Oh, is that a dungeon over there? So I can see that there aren't... Uh-huh. There's a dungeon. See that? There's a dungeon right down there. And that's very good to know. Alright. So yeah, I just think this is pretty cool. And yeah. So I'm just going to go around and use this X-ray a bit. And just see if there's anything else that I should know about. Like that dungeon down there. I'm very glad I just X-rayed, and I kind of suspected there's another dungeon down here. And I think that might even be a skelly dungeon, which would be awesome because the other two skelly dungeons are way out of the way. And the reason I'm doing all this is because whenever you have a dungeon, you're probably going to want to build some sort of trap around it so that you can easily harvest the mobs that spawn in it. And dungeons can't be moved, so you know, you're going to want to take their location into account before you build something really big like an iron golem farm. So yeah, I'm going to go do some more X-raying. And yeah, then I'm going to beat my head against a wall trying to decide where the hell I want to build this iron golem farm. And as you can see, I've placed some of these markers on the dungeons and spawners that we found yesterday. This one's marking the location of the zombie dungeon, and a ways back in the woods there's one marking the location of the double cave spider spawner that I found in the musical montage. So I'm going to do some X-raying, and then I'm going to beat my head against the wall in a fit of indecisive rage. And oh, hi Ocelots. And then I will meet you back here momentarily through the magic of video editing, and we'll start building the iron golem farms. Oh my god. And then once we get those farms going, that iron that we lost in the past episode, not going to matter. And any future iron that we lose, not going to matter. And if we jump into lava carrying a stack of iron blocks, not going to matter. Alright guys, I am excited. I will see you guys in a bit. Alright guys, so I've been doing some hard head beating against the wall, and I have finally decided where I'm going to build the golem farms. So before I get right down to start building them, I thought I'd talk about what I was using as the basis for my decision. So first, I'd like to show you, I made two maps. As you can see, well, I can't point, but it has our farm on it and stuff. And I also made an image copy of the map, and I drew various key locations on it. And I provided a link to that image in the description. And the link, the image, it has the 4 key locations on it. There's our zombie spawner. There's that new skeleton spawner that I just found earlier this episode. There's the witch hut, and then there's the double cave spider spawner. And I'm going to build the iron golem farm so that it is reasonably close to all of those. And you might be wondering what I'm doing over in this part. Well, I've also decided what I'm going to build the iron golem farm out of, and I'm going to build it out of snow. So I've made a little hut over here in a forest biome so that I can farm some snow. Let's see. Get rid of this. So okay, here's a good way to farm a lot of snow, which I'm going to show you right now. I'm just putting some cobblestone in here. You make a little enclosure like this, and then you make a snow golem. You make a snow golem by stacking 2 snow blocks on top of each other, and then putting a pumpkin on top of them. And see, it makes a snow golem. And the thing about snow golems is that they leave a trail of snow wherever they go. And so if you just continuously mine the tile that under the snow golem with a shovel, you can get a lot of snow really quickly. And there are several reasons why I've decided to make it out of snow. The main reason is that I really do like the way snow looks. It's just so bright and white. And another important advantage is that all tiers of shovels will mine snow at the same speed. I mean, look how fast the snowballs are coming. And this is especially good for me since I'm still using stone tools, which aren't really that great. So, yeah. Alright guys, so I'm going to farm some more snow. Oh yeah, and the reason I'm all the way over here is that snow golems will only leave a trail of snow in certain biomes. They will not leave a trail of snow if you are in a jungle biome, desert biome, swamp biome, plains biome, or the nether, of course. So yeah, basically all the biomes that are like close to me. I mean, if you go back through the jungle that's sort of behind my house, you'll get to some plains biomes. Then as we have the desert over where the infinite breeding cell is. And then of course we have that big swamp, which is our mock beach. Yeah. Oh yeah, and they can't leave the trail of snow in beach biomes either, so yeah. But anywhere else they can. Alright, so I'm going to farm a bunch of snow, and then I am going to we're going to start on the iron golem farm. I can't wait. Oh, and I forgot to mention, the red line that you see on the map is, it marks the farthest I can go upwards on it. Because iron golem farms, you cannot build them close to anything else that's considered a village because they'll interfere with it. and our little infinite breeding cell counts as a village. So the iron golem farms have to stay away from that. So I just made the I just drew that line on the map so that I know how far, how close I can get in that direction. I didn't end up needing to go up that far, but you know. What? Come right in, zombie. The door's open. Yeah, the door's open. Walk right in. Minecraft, I love your weird quirks. Oh, look at all the snow we've got. Look at that. I've used up over half a stack of cobblestone just mining snow. It's ridiculous, but you can get it pretty quickly. Alright. Alright guys, I've gotten the materials that I need, and we are ready to build the iron golem farm, and look at that. I went through over a stack of cobblestone just making shovels to farm all the snow. Alright, let's grab a whole bunch because we're going to need it. These golem farms, they don't really take any rare resources to build, but whatever you choose to build them out of, they're going to take a lot of that resource. So, yeah. Alright guys, here we are. These four jack-lanterns mark the center of where the farm is going to be. So, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Alright. So, I have decided that I am going to build the first platform at y equals 90. And the reason for that is as follows. I would like to be able to fit 3 of these spawning cells on top of each other. And if you build the first platform below, above y equals, alright, let's see, 1, 2, y equals 108. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll be back in a second. Sorry about that. I just find it hard to count and talk at the same time. So, but what I was saying was, if you build the first level above y equals 108, then you won't have room to stack 3 of these shells of these cells on top of each other. Shells. Well, I guess it kind of is a shell. However, if you build it below y equals 77, and y equals 77 doesn't even really have a good margin of safety. If you build it below that, then you don't have the option of eventually someday digging down to bedrock and building a cell down there. So that's the issue you run into in that department. So I'm not going to be digging down right now, and I don't see myself doing it anytime soon. But I would like to give myself the option to do it if I should someday decide that I want to have these be 4 cells tall instead of 3 cells tall. So I think I'm going to take the time while I'm building this to just do some good old talking, because I got a lot of stuff to talk about, you know. I've received some comments on some of my other videos that I'd like to respond to, and there's just some other things that I'd kind of like to talk about. The first thing I'm going to discuss is I'm going to go into a little bit more detail right now about what an iron golem is, how they spawn, and how that all works. And I'm lighting all of this up now because if I fall off here, I want it to be light so that mobs don't spawn while I'm trying to get back up. I hate when that happens. Snow is pretty easy to get in large quantities, but one of the annoying things about it is that if you misplace a block and have to pick it up, you get 4 snowballs instead of 1 snow block, so then you have to recraft them, which is kind of annoying. Oh well, at least you always get 4 snowballs, unlike glowstone where you might not. So yeah. Iron golems, and I'm going to try not to be too confusing with this, because I think some of my explanations have been a bit out there. Iron golems spawn in villages. if a village has at least 21 houses and at least 10 villagers, and note that for a village to naturally reach a population of 10 villagers, you'd need 30 houses, then the game will start trying to spawn an iron golem. There is a specific region where iron golems can spawn. That region is a 16 by 16 meter square that is centered around the center point of the village. And I forget how many blocks above and below the center point it goes. You know, it goes vertically, but it's not nearly as much as it goes horizontally. So, how does the spawning actually work? Well, each game tick, which you get one every 20th of a second, the game will roll a 7,000-sided dice, and if it gets one, then it will try to spawn an iron golem. And what it will do is it will pick a random point anywhere inside the box where an iron golem can spawn. And if that point happens to lie inside a box, inside a block that has enough space on top of it for a golem to spawn, and iron golems are 2 blocks by 2 blocks wide, so they have the same footprint as the regular spider, and they're 3 meters tall, so they're as tall as Endermen. If there is enough space above the block for an iron golem to spawn, then an iron golem will spawn with its feet with it centered over the center of the block, and it'll be standing on the block. If the game fails to spawn a golem, then it will try up to 10 times. So it'll keep picking random points for up to 10 times or until a golem spawns. So this means that if we want to spawn iron golems efficiently, we need to have as many spawning areas as possible. Now, it turns out that JL2579 and Trunk Z, 2 really good Minecraft players, figured out a design for an iron golem farm that gives you the most spawning squares that it's actually possible to get. You have 2 floors that are 16 by 16, well, actually a little bigger, but I'll explain that in a minute, where iron golems can spawn. And you have to be kind of clever to get the 2 floors. Well, they did, but since they already did the work, we can, you know, as Newton said, stand on the shoulder of giants. Yes, JL2579 and Trunk Z are both giants, and we're going to stand on their shoulders and use their design in our world, because why reinvent the wheel? So yeah, I was getting distracted. Let's see, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, so yeah, the more spawning spaces you have available, obviously, the better. Now let's talk about how golem caps work and what happens as you get more villagers. A village can support 1 iron golem for every 10 villagers it has, and at least every 21 houses. So if a village has 10 villagers, and we'll just say that they have enough houses for the village to reach that population naturally, so the house requirement is irrelevant in that case, because yeah. So let's say that a village had enough, 20 villagers. Then it would have enough room to spawn, and let's see, where do I want these jack-o'-lanterns to go? It would be able to spawn 2 iron golems. However, and this is very important, it is having the 20 villagers instead of 10 is not going to increase the rate at which iron golems spawn. It is only going to make it so that after 1 golem spawns, another one will be able to spawn. It does not affect the rate. And also, an iron golem is no longer considered part of a village if you either kill it or move it outside of the village. And that is the principle that these iron golem farms work on. The instant an iron golem spawned, within like less than 5 seconds, it is going to be flushed outside the village limits, and then it will no longer be considered part of the village. That means that we do not have to be able to support 2 iron golem farms at the same time. When iron golems first came out, a lot of people would try to make a village with like 100 villagers, thinking that would make their iron golem farm be 100 times faster. But it turns out that that is wrong. It does not work like that. So yeah, that's very important. That means that the only way to make golems spawn faster is to make more villages. And yeah, so that was quite an important discovery. And I remember a while before people really knew that. They'd think that having more villagers in the village is going to make your iron golem farm run faster, but in fact that is not the case. If we were to make this village have, and when these golem farms are done, they are not going to have 20 villagers in them. In fact, it's actually detrimental to this design of iron golem farm for 2 golems to be able to spawn exactly at the same time in here, because it would clog up the system. And I'll explain more about why that is later. Alright, so I've explained how how golem spawning basically works. So, and I said that iron golems in this farm are going to be flushed out of the system basically as soon as they spawn, and that by having that happen, we'd only lose spawning time for like a couple seconds, and then the golem, the instant it moves far enough outside the city limits, which will take less than 5 seconds, then golem spawning will resume. So the way we're going to do that is with water streams. Surprised? Yeah, water is one of the most useful things in Minecraft. So I put these blocks in the corners, and the reason for that I will show you momentarily. So you saw one style of infinite water source, which is where you make the square. But you can also get an infinite water source by putting 2 blocks of water next to each other, like I just did. And then you take the middle one. The reason that people don't typically make that style of infinite water source when they need an infinite water source nearby is because it's a little bit less stable. If you don't take the middle one, then you'll ruin the source, and it won't replenish. But in this case, we happen to want it because we want to have a bunch of water flowing through the center. Now, let's talk about why I'm having these corner pieces here. Well, if I were to just go like this all the way to the corner and have these water streams, then when I put one over here, you'd have a source block here and a source block here. That makes an infinite water source. And in fact, it would end up causing a chain reaction that would cause this whole thing to fill up with infinite water sources. And we do not want that. We need to have all the water be flowing water right towards the middle. Oops, see, like that. See, I accidentally ruined that infinite water source there. But yeah. So, those are just there temporarily. And once we fill in all this water, we will be taking them out and putting a water block. Well, yeah, I'll show you when that's done. But yeah. So now you break these, and you put a water block right here, one above. If you were to put it on that first level, then then this whole thing would fill in with infinite water sources, and that would just be a huge pain in the butt. Now note that the water washed away all the torches, but that is not a problem. Obviously, I'm lighting this up because I don't want hostile mobs to spawn in here while I'm working. However, hostile mobs, unlike iron golems, cannot spawn on blocks that have water above them. So, yeah. No zombies will be able to spawn in here. And that's important because we're going to have doors, of course, because it needs to be a village. This cell is technically going to be a village. And so, yeah. And if zombies were able to spawn, they'd break down the doors. And, yeah. That'd ruin the farm. So, no zombies are going to spawn in here. So, yeah. And now what we do is we have to carefully dig out this hole in the middle. And so the instant a golem spawns in here, these water streams are going to push it right towards the square, and it's going to drop down. And we're going to have some nice glass tubes or something in the middle with water streams that will then carry the golems to where we want them to be. And the instant the golem is, I believe, at least 7 blocks below the level that the doors are on, it will no longer be considered part of the village, and golem spawning will resume. Now, let's talk about why it is that we actually don't want a second golem to be able to spawn in here while there's one already in here. Because you might think that, hey, it would get us a couple seconds of extra efficiency. And that is true. However, the risk is that, so let's say a golem spawns here, and then in the next couple game ticks, another one spawns over there. If they meet in the middle, they'll start pushing against each other, and iron golems move so steadily in flowing water that they'll actually never fall through. Now, obviously, the chances of that happening are quite unlikely. It could take a while, but the first rule with iron golem farms is that you follow the dimensions exactly. The rule with iron golem farms, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 farms, is that anything that can go wrong will eventually, because this iron golem farm is going to be running as long as the chunks that it's in are loaded. If you're close enough for the chunks to be loaded, and you can be kind of far away and it'll still work, like over at the Skelly dungeon or over at the double cave spider spawners that we found, this thing is still going to be running, which is one of the great things about an iron golem farm. It's, you know, it's going to give you a lot of iron even when you're not all that close to it. But that also means that anything that can go wrong will go wrong eventually. So if there's even a chance that something could go wrong, then you have to do something about it. You can't allow that to happen. So that is why it is very important. And this didn't used to be an issue, but because it used to be that you had to have 16 villagers for an iron golem to spawn. And that's how many villagers this farm is going to have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 blocks there. Is going to have in it. It turns out that I believe 16 is still a good number, even though they reduced it to 10, because you want it to be like divisible by 4 and to have and even the same number of doors on each side for the center point to be in the right location. So yeah. But yeah, now it's something that you have to watch out for, because if you're going to have the villagers in holding cells on the side. There's going to be 4 of them, and we're going to have to put 4 villagers in each one. While you're putting the villagers in one, sometimes they can breed, while, you know, when you go back to then put the villagers in the other ones. And if you're not careful, you could end up with 20 villagers in here, and that would mean that eventually the iron golem farm would jam, because there'd be 2 golems pushing against each other, and then of course you've reached the golem cap. The iron golems aren't being fleshed out, and spawning will stop. Alright, let's see. Alright guys, so at this point I'd normally put the doors put 6 doors in each of these gaps here. But I think that for this golem farm I'm going to try, and I've never done this before, but I'm going to try putting the villagers into the holding cells that we'll make before putting the doors on. And what that will do is it'll prevent them from breeding so that I have the correct number of villagers in each of the holding cells. So I've made just 1 door, and I'm going to show you guys how to put the doors on correctly. So yeah, you basically, with this thing, you can't use our little trick to place doors so that zombies can't beat them down. You have to place it correctly. You have to be facing the wall when you place the door. And the reason for that is that the game, to determine whether the door is a house, all of these blocks that are at the foot of the door, and it'll check the blocks on each side that are at the level of this block that the door is standing on, even if the blocks are air. So it says, if there was a block right here, would it be able to see the sky? And if a block can see the sky, it's considered outside. And if a block can't see the sky, it's considered inside. And it will check 5 blocks, just the blocks in line with the door on each side. So because we're going to have a roof over the doors on this side, you know, over this cell, the doors are going to have 5 outside squares on this side and 5 inside squares on this side. There only needs to be a difference of 1 in the number of outside and inside squares on either side of the door for it to be considered a house. Like, if I do this, now the door is considered a house because the block below is blocked by this one. This block here is blocked by this one. It can't see the sky. And all of the blocks on this side of the door can currently see the sky. But yeah. If you were to place the door so that zombies couldn't beat them down, then it would be checking, let's say we placed a door here, like on this block here, or no, we'll do this jack-o'-lantern. If we placed the door here, then it would check these 5 squares and these 5 squares. And so some of the doors that are close to the edge would still be considered houses, but the ones more towards the middle wouldn't. So in this design, you really just have to make sure that zombies can't spawn anywhere near your farm. And the fact that we're up in the air really helps with that, but we're lighting it up. There's water on the inside, so zombies can't spawn there. So yeah. Alright guys, so now what we have to do is make a second spawning floor. Because, remember, as I said, we want to have as many blocks for iron golems to spawn on as possible, and so the way we're going to do that is by making a second spawning floor up here. And these spawning floors are spaced out. They have to be spaced out properly so that they're both in the zone where an iron golem can spawn, and so that there's room for golems to spawn between them. It turns out that the best you can do is to have 2 spawning floors in each village, and that does give you pretty good rates. So with 2 spawning floors, you'll get an average of 1 iron golem every 6 minutes. So that's about 10 golems per hour, and an iron golem drops an average of 4 iron ingots when it dies, so that's 40 iron ingots per hour. That might not seem like much, but remember that, first of all, this thing's going to be running pretty much all the time, as long as I'm working in the area that's like my base, and I'm not like somewhere far off, like in the end, fighting the Ender Dragon or something. This thing's going to be running. When I'm over at the tree farm cutting wood or harvesting wheat, this thing's going to be running. When I'm making my little basement area actually look nice, which I'm going to do after I build this thing's going to be running. And before you know it, it's been an hour, and now you have enough iron to make a new suit of armor and some new tools. And of course, as I said, we're also going to be building more of these things. To be specific, I'm going to be building 12 of these things. But if you just want it to not really matter when you fall into lava and lose your armor, if you just want enough iron to have an easy time making all the tools and armor you need, 2 to 4 of these things is going to be plenty. You'll get plenty of iron. So yeah, I think while I'm doing this, since instead of just cutting to when I'm done, I'm going to take this time to respond to some of the questions that people posted in the comments to my other videos. So MCO was asking about whether I was ever going to show how to find chickens, because he wants to make arrows. And yeah, I remember that's something that was kind of difficult for me. Getting arrows can be a bit of a pain sometimes. However, I think that using chickens and to get feathers and then getting flint to craft arrows, I think that's not the best way to go about doing it. I found that you'll have much better results if you farm skeletons. And you might say, wait, farm skeletons? You can't like plant skeletons in the ground or breed them. And that is true. However, in Minecraft, farm typically just refers to setting up a contraption that allows you to easily and systematically harvest the resources for from something. For something like wheat or cows, you're planting wheat or breeding cows. But for something like skeletons, you're basically exploiting the game's mechanics on where skeletons can farm. You go to an area spawn. You go to an area where skeletons can spawn, and you set up a contraption that will then funnel the skeletons into an area where you can kill them easily. The easiest way to farm skeletons is if you find a skeleton dungeon, and they're not that hard to find. Like you'll usually be able to find one that's kinda close to where you are. I mean, it might be a bit of a journey, but but you can get a lot of arrows there, and but yeah, so you find a skeleton dungeon, and those spawners cages will keep spawning skeletons around them whenever you're within 16 meters of them. So yeah, you basically, you just build like a large cage around it, and then you can have water streams in the bottom of it. Because with these dungeons, you don't, the mobs don't need blocks to spawn on. They just spawn in an area. And we will be making some of these, and I'll be giving you all the exact dimensions when I do. They just spawn in a cube, anywhere in a cube around the spawner. So yeah, you could just have something like water streams, like what we did for here. So that when the skeletons spawn, they'll fall into the water, and then they get funneled into a little collection area. If you just are interested in getting the arrows, then you could, use a sign to suspend a block of lava at their head level and have them get pushed into it. And if the lava's at their head level, it won't destroy the drops, and you could just be doing other stuff near the spawner, and you'll get a whole bunch of arrows. And if you want to get experience, you can, pretty easy to drop the skeletons into like a little chamber thing that will keep them from shooting you, but will make it very easy for you to hit them with your sword, and then you can just kill them easily. Like, yeah, you have them drop onto this block here, and then you have something like this around them. So, Ooh. And see, the skeletons are in this hole. They're, and you stand here, not too close, but, back here. You'll be able to hit them with your sword, and they won't be able to shoot you. And you can just kill them pretty easily. And then if you want to get a little fancier, you can set up a system that will automatically reduce their health to 1/2 heart, so that you can just hit them with your fist and kill them in one hit every time. And again, we're definitely going to be doing that. And I think because MCO was asking me about arrows, I think I might do the skeleton dungeon that we found earlier. Make something like I just described around the skeleton dungeon that we found earlier. Pretty much right after I get this iron golem farm going. I was gonna maybe do the zombie dungeon or the cave spider dungeon and get an enchantment table going, because you can get more experience from the cave spiders, because there's 2 spawners, and then also because I think cave spiders also give more experience, so I could get my enchantment table going. But because he was asking about arrows, I think I'm going to do the skelly dungeon right away. And to be honest, it would be nice to have some arrows, although I don't find it too difficult to survive without them for a while. We will be making one of those types of mob traps as well at some point. I was going to do that first thing in my world, but I don't know, I just decided that I wanted to try doing the iron golem farm first, and I do not want to have this ugly face where it can be seen, so we're doing that. Alright, other questions. Oh yeah, MCO was also asking about when I'm going to go into the nether and show everyone how to deal with all those terrifying nether creatures. And I'm not going to lie, the nether is really scary. It's far more dangerous in the end, in my opinion. Just because, you have fire, where water's not allowed. Enough said. Can't get any worse than that. Alright. Okay, so in the last 2 episodes, I sort of showed you guys one methodology for dealing with the dangers in Minecraftia, and that was being prudent, such as to avoid dying in the first place. And while usually I find that that's the for most situations that's a reasonable plan of action, but there are some cases where that doesn't work too well. I mean, there's times when you're in a situation that's just so inherently dangerous that even with your superpowers, it's just really difficult to, for you to take enough precautions to eliminate the chance of you dying. And in those situations, I find that the best way to deal with it is to, instead of worrying about not dying, take steps to make it so that if you do end up dying, it doesn't matter. And yeah, for example, in the last episode, when I got blown up by that creeper, what I probably should have done, I think I was trying to use the first method I showed you, the cautious prudent method, in sort of the wrong situation. Oh, and snow golems only spawn if you place the pumpkin or jack-o'-lantern last, so that's why one didn't spawn there. So, I was trying to be prudent, but I was entering a really dangerous situation. There was a huge ravine above my head with all sorts of ledges where creepers could spawn. And, using my superpowers to build like a roof or above my head to block it off, that would have just been, that's just not realistic. While I was constructing the thing, there's a good chance that I could have gotten blown up. So, in that case, instead of trying to prevent myself from dying, what I should have done was, made it so that, oops, not quite what I wanted, so that if I did die, it didn't matter. And probably in that case, the best way to have done that would have been to just make a chest. When I saw the ravine, dig a little hole in the wall, go in it, seal it off, then make a chest, put all the valuable stuff that I had in the chest, and of course write down the location of the chest so we don't lose everything. And then when I died, it wouldn't matter because I wouldn't have anything valuable on me. And so now, to get back to what MCO was asking about the Nether and whether I was going to show you guys how to survive in the Nether, I'm already showing you guys how to survive in the Nether. We're already taking the second approach right this minute to dealing with the Nether, and that is making an iron golem farm. Because what's bad about dying in the Nether? Well, you fall into lava and you lose all your stuff. And losing a suit of iron armor, it hurts, It's not fun at all. But it's not going to matter at all when we have this iron golem farm. If you get like even 2 of these spawning cells going, 2 to 4 or something, dying not really going to hurt at all. Because likely the only somewhat rare, and I say that in quotes, material, items that you have on you will be iron tools and armor. But if you have an iron golem farm, iron's not rare at all. It's the most common thing in the world. So right now I'm sort of taking the second approach, which is make it so that if I do end up dying, it doesn't matter. Whether I die is irrelevant because I have free iron. So yeah, that's my advice on how to deal with the Nether. Build an iron golem farm. I know that sounds kind of dumb, but I don't know. I think it's... Oh yeah, and if you're gonna go and explore Nether Fortress, don't bring your diamond pickaxe. You don't really need it. Iron tools are great. So yeah. Oh, and I received another comment on, I believe, the second video. Someone seemed to think I was hacking. So I'm just going to throw out there that this is a complete vanilla Minecraft Let's Play. I have no mods installed whatsoever. Not even mods that don't change gameplay. And like, I believe Trunk Z created a mod that shows you information about villages when you hit the F3 screen. But it doesn't like add anything to the game. I don't even have that installed. This is a complete vanilla Let's Play. Alright guys, we have completed the 2 spawning floors. Now all we have to do is create the cells where we'll hold the villagers. So let's see, to do that you go right, you see these 6 blocks in the middle here? You just, I'm just going to make one here so I can stand easily. But yeah, you just place a block right at this level where the door is on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out. And yeah. So yeah, we're going to have one of these on each side of the farm, and there will be 4 villagers inside. And it is, and you kind of do, you can't just put all the villagers in one cell like this, because villagers can only see doors that are, let's see, where do I want the jack-o'-lanterns to go? Yep, that looks good. Villagers can only, you know, activate doors, you know, that are within 16 meters of them. So you need to have some on each side, because this cell is 20 meters by 20 meters. If you were to just have them all on one side, some of the doors wouldn't be activated. And if you have different numbers of villagers in each, I'm going to get rid of these so that we don't have these faces showing. If you were to have different numbers in each one, it can actually change the center point of the farm, which can cause a lot of problems later on. So yeah, you really do want to make sure that there's 4 villagers in each cell. Alright, let's see. I'm going to make this 3 high. Just you know. Alright. And, yeah. And then, yep, so they'll have 3 high headroom, and, yeah. Yeah, I think this looks nice. And I'm really liking the way that this snow looks. It's gonna... I wanted these golem farms to really shine at night. And so yeah. And the snow is gonna be bright. Okay, now we have to... I should have brought 2 extra buckets. But this is something that Doc M77 came up with to solve a problem with villagers glitching into the walls and dying. And so what he does is he'll put buckets of water. He'll put a bucket of water in each corner like this, so that the villagers will always be pushed right towards the middle. So yeah. Let's see. I guess I'll jump stack up. And I'm gonna, so yeah, let's... So yeah, see that? When I can fight the current and move to the edge, but villagers, remember, and other mobs are not able to fight water currents. Not even squids are able to, so they'll always remain in the middle. So yeah, and then we're gonna have glass over the top of this, of course. And yeah, I'm gonna do the rest of these off camera, and then I will see you guys when I'm done. Alright guys, so as you can see, I just finished the villager holding cells, and I also went ahead and started the skeleton for one of the other golem towers. There's going to be a total of 4 of these, and each of them is going to, for now, have 3 spawning cells all stacked on top of each other. Yeah, so I decided not to edit this episode as much as I did the other ones, because there's just a lot of stuff that I wanted to talk about, so I left most of the footage of me building this one spawning cell in. Yeah, please let me know what you think about that. I don't think I'm going to be leaving the other episodes quite as uncut as I did this one. I thought it did, I don't know. Just let me know what you think about it. Yeah, if you found that it was too boring and you want me to just cut more out, or if you found that my rants and whatnot to be kind of interesting, yeah, just please let me know. So yeah, next time we are going to be moving the villagers into this spawning cell, and then off camera I will be doing the same thing with the other 11 that I'm going to build. Alrighty, peace out guys, see you next time.